Now you ready? There you go. You turned it on, right? Okay, great. All right. Whereas the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary performs 10,849 hours of water safety patrols on a daily basis, whereas three flotillas and 150 auxiliarists reside in Jefferson Parish, whereas the first Spanish boat education class was held at the Jefferson Parish East Bank Library in March of 2023. Whereas in the year 2022, there were 3.8 million educational hours in support of the United States Coast Guard, ranging from classroom, ramp and pier, operation vessels, 160 aircraft, and 1,400 radio facilities. Whereas boating safety education is vital. As in 2022, there were 1,226 collision accidents with recreational vessels, 273 falls overboard, 399 falls of which were not wearing a life jacket, 122 drownings in kayaks, 454 accidents due to lack of a proper lookout, 204 accidents for not following navigation rules, 1,180 accidents caused by operator inattention or inexperience, 178 accidents due to weather, and 489 deaths due to drownings and other causes on an open motor boat. Now, therefore, I, Kenner Mayor Michael Glazer, along with the members of the Kenner City Council and Chief of Police Keith Conley, do hereby acknowledge National Safe Boating Week in Kenner, Louisiana, and encourage boaters to invest in the education of boater safety. Given under my hand and seal of the City of Kenner, Louisiana, during Safe Boating Week, May 20 through 26, 2023, Michael J. Glazer, Mayor. Mr. Gregg.
I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for their continuing support of safe boating in Louisiana. National Safe Boating Week runs every year from the 20th to the 27th, third week of this month, and so we are on full court press. So keep an eye out. We'll be around at the boat ramps and various libraries teaching classes and doing boat inspections. So we will see you out there on the water. Be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. And someone asked to say something about the United States Coast Guard. So y'all all know him.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 51 years. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say this. The Coast Guard is the oldest military establishment, continuous military establishment of all of them. I just wanted to let the public know that. They are the oldest continuous. Okay? Thanks again, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, we are ready to start the council meeting this morning. Hold on one second. Okay, now we're ready to start the meeting. Does anyone have any special intentions today?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Brennan?
Thank you, Council Chair. A good friend of all of ours, Christy Canella Negrato, had a medical issue yesterday, and I don't want to go into too much detail for her privacy, but as we all know, she's a very wonderful person, and please keep she and her family in your prayers. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to call Pastor Andrew Moscow to the podium to lead us in prayer. Please stand.
Let's pray together. Father, you're the one who leads us in every endeavor. And so as we gather today, would you give us wisdom in our decision making? Would you mark our conversations with honesty and kindness? And most of all, Lord, would you lead us down the path of more of your goodness for all of your creation. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Chief Conley, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. You have a quorum. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. We have correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads. Mayor, would you like to address anything before we go into executive session, or would you like to go in executive session first? Okay. At the request of the administration and the police chief, executive sessions regarding the following. Item 1 is Veolia Water North America Operating Services, LLC, and Professional Services Group, Incorporated, versus the City of Kenner, Eastern District of Louisiana, number 2:21-CV-00327. Item number 2 is Diane Atkins versus JMM Investments, LLC, Mesa Underwriters, a specialty insurance company, and the City of Kenner, 24th JDC 814-020, Division B.
I have a motion by Councilman Brannigan, second by Councilman Brennan, to adjourn into executive session. Council members in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. We'll now be in executive session for a few minutes, and we'll return shortly.
Convene in 1 minute. Have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Brennan to reconvene. Council members in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Mr. Chairman, I've received a request to take item 13A at this juncture in the meeting. I have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Brennan, to change the order of business. All council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0 to change your order of business. Item 13A is a resolution authorizing a settlement in the lawsuit entitled Veolia Water North America Operating Services, LLC, and Professional Services Group, Incorporated versus the City of Kenner, Eastern District of Louisiana, number 2:21-CV-00327.
Have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Lahat. Is there anyone wanting to speak on this issue?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 51 years. First of all, we would like to know what the amount of this settlement is. Second of all, I want to say this. Veolia, or Viola, I call it, came in here as a short-term contract around in the early 90s, and in 1995, it was turned into a long-term contract for about 20 years. I've always labeled it as a sweetheart deal, and it was rather dubious how they went from a short-term contract to a 20-year contract. Now, it's now we got, here we are almost 30 years later, and we still dealing with a lawsuit. I think they had their nerve to file a lawsuit against the city of Kenner when they did not even live up to the contract, to that sweetheart contract that they were given by the administration back in 1995. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Ms. Alessandro?
Hello, Stacy Alessandro. I too would like to know, are you guys planning on disclosing the amount of the settlement prior to the vote today?
I think that's the plan, yes.
What was the
Yes,
question?
yes, the settlement amount for this was $650,000, and it's for 2 months of unpaid invoices that the prior administration, when the contract ended, did not pay the last 2 months of the contracted invoices.
Thank you. Will this, with this settlement, will that close the chapter on Veolia, or are there other outstanding bills? Are there any other matters left to be addressed with Veolia?
We have other matters with Veolia, but not in which we will be paying them any money.
Okay. And, I mean, I'm assuming you guys have looked over that bill those two bills very, very carefully with a fine-tooth comb, and everybody's in agreement that there is no question that we owe that money?
It is the 2 months of invoices, and we checked with Liz, and actually the total amount that we originally owed them for those 2 months was $920,000. And so we were able to negotiate down to $650,000 to make this go away. It was set for trial in a few weeks. So
Okay.
this cost of trial, cost of defense, it's over.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Mr. Brown?
Richard Brown, Sessions Lane in District 4. I did not hear the amount. I was simply going to say that I also would like to have the amount disclosed before the council votes, and also that on this item and on the others, that I hope none of these are going to be confidential settlements, that at a minimum they will be available for inspection if somebody does a public records request. But I didn't hear the city attorney's responses to the amount.
$650,000.
Okay, thank you. And I don't have any objection to the settlement. I just believe that when it's a final settlement, that the public should be apprised of the amount. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Okay, council members in favor? Councilmember Wilmot?
And I'm going to be brief. I just basically, I do have a procedural dilemma with this, and I'm going to abstain from voting on it. Thank you.
Okay, council members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Motion passes 6-0. Councilmember Wilmot is abstaining. Mr. Chairman, I've also received a request to take item 13B at this juncture in the meeting. Have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to change the order of business. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 13C is a resolution authorizing a settlement in the lawsuit entitled Diane Atkins versus JMM Investments, LLC, Mesa Underwriters Specialty Insurance Company, and the City of Kenner 24th Judicial District Court, case number 814-020, Division B.
Have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, second by Councilmember Lahat. Mr. Morella?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 51 years. Once again, the amount of the settlement. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Ms. Dufresne?
This matter has not been settled yet. It's just up for discussion.
Ms. Alessandro?
Hi, Stacy Alessandro again. I do not understand the way that we're doing these lawsuits. It seems to me that they're all done a different way. And I would like to ask, especially like on this one, we need to have some kind of uniform way that the city settles these lawsuits. I mean, you know, I came up here with the last one and I questioned the amount, as did everybody else, and y'all gave it to us, and then 2 seconds later, y'all just spent $650,000 of the city's money, our money. And how do the citizens and the public have a chance to even digest this or even to form any type of opinion when we're given seconds and over $500,000 of our money is spent? I mean, I'm sure that this may have been the absolutely correct thing to do, but I don't understand how we're doing all of these. And I don't understand why you cannot go into, when we have one of these issues, why y'all can't go into executive session, be briefed by the mayor's team on where they're going, the range that they're looking at and everything, and be briefed on that. And then once they reach a settlement with the other party, the city signs the settlement, the other party signs the settlement, and the only contingency, which should be standard in every settlement with the city of Kenner, so people know this is how we do it, there is a contingency that says, pending council approval. So it can't be changed. It's a done deal. The only thing that they're waiting on is your approval. So at that point, if y'all bring it up on the agenda and the public speaks about it, then everybody's had a chance to look at it. We're not going to harm the city's position because it's already a done deal. Now, I know that there's going to be people that will come up and they'll give reasons why that can't be done. But I'm here to tell you that y'all need to figure out a way to do it, because that's the right way to do it. That is the right way to do it. Now, if you're holding back, you know, the way the Zahn administration did things, completely different than the way the Glazer administration is doing things. That's how they would have done it. They would take any chance they could to block the public and to lie to you guys, because y'all have approved the same settlement twice. We've paid $200,000-something to Mr. Romelli. Y'all have approved it twice. Y'all went in executive session one time. At least one person has told me the reason y'all voted on it back then, y'all were lied to, outright lied to and misled what that $200,000-something was for. Y'all voted for it, city paid for it. That was Mr. Zahn being sued personally for damages. But then we come back up here just recently, and y'all have voted to approve the same amount of money, but now it's because we had to pay a bill. The public knew
Ms.
about that.
Alessandro, your time is up.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Wilmot?
Yeah, and I would just like to thank Ms. Alessandro for coming up and making her comments. And I agree that we do need some procedures and process that are more firm, especially when dealing with taxpayer dollars. This is just, you know, and if you're dealing with large sums of money, in particular, I think it's well needed, and we need to look at it, whether or not it's my legislation or somebody else's, whatever. We need to have something that's firm in place that will be more transparent, and it'll be better for the public to understand what's going on. Thank you.
Councilmember Lahat?
Yeah, obviously I do legal work. The executive session is akin to when I meet with one of my clients and we try to talk about how to settle a case. And what I don't want to happen is an ordinance or legislation which can possibly cause harm if we decide to settle a case for a certain amount and the other side hears about it, and then we have to pay more money of taxpayer money. The negotiations to settle a contentious lawsuit, it has to be done with an attorney behind closed doors, away from the other party. If we do it in the public sphere, they're going to hear about it. They might come here and listen. I think settlement should always be public. I think they always are. I think we might be, the issue I think is if we authorize someone to potentially settle versus when we're actually settling the case, I think those are two separate things. Richard and I have talked about it. Is this one of those occasions where y'all two don't agree? That doesn't happen very often. So I'm trying to wrap my head. I still don't think, and I know Tom was proposing this legislation, I still don't agree with it. I think there is still a problem that'll wreak havoc on Michelle's ability to settle the case when we have to pay a certain amount. And we really have to protect the ability to talk with the attorneys privately in the session, because sometimes you're dealing with medical bills and things that are private nature for a person. I don't want to jeopardize that. I don't want to jeopardize her office's ability to do it. I'm happy to hear ideas, and I'm reading Tom's thing and I'm talking to him, but I don't want to jeopardize the fact that we have to pay more tax dollars if the discussions come up in public. That's what I want to protect. And if that can be protected, I'm open for ideas, but I can't, as it stands right now, what Tom's proposing, I can't agree to it. And I don't think we're voting on it today now, but
that's not what we're talking about right now. So.
Yeah, no, I know, but it really kind of goes into the whole thing. And
Okay.
I know Stacy and Richard have been talking about it for a while. That's my take on it, but that's what I wanted to say. I just don't want to jeopardize the ability to settle a case.
Councilmember McKinney?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Ms. Alessandro, Mr. Brown, I think, and just to clarify, Ms. Alessandro's, the difference in procedure here is that the first one we voted on actually it's a timing issue, right? They have a settlement already. The second one does not have a settlement, so we're going into it. So it's a timing issue with regard to this. So that, I just want to clarify, that's why it's procedurally, she could answer that because it's time, the timing of it is in there. So that's all I wanted to say.
Councilmember Brennan?
Thank you, Council Chair. Ms. Dufresne, the point Ms. Alessandro brought up about pending council approval, and I know we have a few attorneys on the council as well. In your opinion, if you're trying to settle something and by the way, this is all pending council approval, I'm not an attorney. It just seems to me that kind of takes some finality out of it. Do you agree with that? Or in other words, that's not really saying this is a final settlement with this asterisk in it, right?
Correct. So there's a difference between getting authority to enter into negotiations and having a range, which means we haven't settled yet. And with the Veolia settlement where we came in today, That had a mediation that was set up by the judge, and it was sort of last minute that it came up. We have a trial date coming in the fall, and the settlement number was discussed, but both sides left and had to get board member approval, and we had to get council approval. So, but we had a number. We knew what the number was when we walked out at that moment. So the next one that we're talking about is going into a settlement mediation to discuss a figure. So we try to give someone a range, which of course would be crazy to release that range in an open meeting so that the plaintiff and the plaintiff counsel on the other side is listening, going, oh, they have up to X amount of dollars. They could settle for up to this amount. So when they come in and offer us $1,000, we know they got way more. So that's the difference, and that's the damage that could be caused. When we go back and talk to you guys, like we did with Atkins, it wasn't you all approving a settlement, it was a range. When we went back and talked about Veolia, we said we have a firm number, we have a settlement agreement, they have approval from our board, the settlement agreement is pending council approval, and that's where we are. So that's the difference in the two situations.
Councilmember Wilmot. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you finished, Councilmember Brennan?
Well, I guess I am now, Councilman.
No,
I am,
no.
yes.
Councilmember
Thank you, Mr.
Wilmot.
Dufresne.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention too, I mean, the final settlements are what I'm focused on. I'm not focused on any ranges of anything like of that nature, because I understand that there is a need for privacy. That's ongoing litigation. That's different. When we're talking about a final settlement, it's something that's coming before this body for a final vote for our approval, and it's yay or nay. That's a different issue. So here today, this one right now that we're hearing is a range. I understand that. There is a need for some keeping it close to the vest, so to speak, so we can try and settle within those figures. I think that's very important to be able for the attorneys to maintain, and I have no quorum with that. So I just want to make sure that's clear. Thank you.
Councilmember McKinney.
Yes, thank you, Council President. I just forgot to clarify one other item that was brought up by Ms. Alessandro. The Ramelli cases there were two different cases that we settled with Ramelli. They were unrelated, and the payouts were unrelated, and that's why Ramelli was paid twice, two different instances, because of two different cases. So.
Okay, and anyone else? The only comment that I have is this administration and this council is not trying to hide anything from anyone. It's not like we walk into an executive session and the city attorney tells us, oh, well, let's just go settle this for $650,000. And we were all like, yes, indeed. You know, they do a lot of work on these settlements way before we get to this point. And we are working on things to have it out to the public, but it has to be done in the right way so that it does not hinder the city paying more money than we have to. In the first settlement today, the settlement is basically done at $650,000. Whether it lays over 2 weeks, 5 weeks, 37 seconds, it's not changing, okay? So just make sure that you understand that this administration and this council, we're not trying to hide anything. It's the process that we use now. Council Clerk.
Yes, sir. Council members in favor?
Aye.
Please say aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Back to the correspondence reports from the mayor, CAO, and department heads. Mayor?
Mayor Glazer, sorry it took so long to get to you.
No, thank you. That's the way it works. Just 2 or 3 brief comments. Music in the park tonight, 6:30. Movies in the park tomorrow at 8 o'clock. On Thursday, June 8th, the city will hold a second this year online auction. Inspections is Wednesday, June 7th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Public Works Yard. If I learned how to count in school, I think we have 68 pieces of equipment on the online auction, from dump trucks to lawnmowers, trailers, and things like that. And also this morning, Chief Conley and I had the privilege of attending the Disabled American Veterans Department of Louisiana State Conference that's being held here in Kenner at the Doubletree Hotel yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I did invite them to go on their own to Veterans Park, and invited them to next Thursday's Memorial Day event we're having in Veterans Park at 10 a.m. and invite the public to join, and you can hear Mr. Al once again say the Pledge of Allegiance. So with that, that's it.
Thank you, Mayor Glazer. Council Clerk?
Yes, sir. Do we have any resolutions, motions, or other items from the floor? Seeing none, under the consent agenda, we have item 1, approval of minutes. The regular council meeting of, that was a typographical error, that should be May 4th, 2023. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 2331-23, North American Midway Entertainment Amusement South LLC to hold a public gathering from May 26 to June 4, 2023, weekdays from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., weekends from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. for the purpose of a community carnival at the Esplanade Mall, 1401 West Esplanade Avenue, Kenner, Louisiana. Item 3B is application number 2336-23, Retail Sports Marketing Incorporated to hold a public gathering from May 21st, 2023, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the purpose of a Sam's Club 40th birthday celebration at Sam's Club, 455 31st Street in Kenner, Louisiana. And that will conclude the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Wilmot. All council members in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 8, public hearings and final passage. Item 8A is a public hearing and final passage regarding summary ordinance number 13,230, an ordinance adopting the operating budget for the City of Kenner for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023, and ending June 30th, 2024.
I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Brannigan to open the public hearing. Council members in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
We have Mr. Greg Teft. You have 3 minutes.
Greg Tapp, 3720 West Viola Drive. I want to just say that the amount that we are going to be giving as salaries for our employees that's provided in this budget, as I said in the last meeting, it is too low. Right now, this city is sitting on a time bomb. What does that mean? It means when this administration came in to take over Kenner, we had staffing issues. So can't blame that on the administration. But what we can blame is that we're now almost a year through it and we still have staffing issues. Why? It's plain and simple. We don't pay enough. Now, we keep saying we don't have the money. Why we don't have the money? Where is our priorities for the money that we do have? Why can't we make budget changes or take allocations from here to here to take care of our employees? I don't understand it. Same way as I don't understand that right now today we have so many vacancies. Now, all you got to do is go through the neighborhoods. Just drive through the neighborhoods. I hope y'all are doing that. But what you see is terrible. You watching cars zip through stop signs. Now, I'm not saying that it's a problem because the police are not doing their job, because they are. But we don't have enough. And then we've got children that have to get off of the sidewalk, go into the street, and some of them are barely tall enough for someone to see above the hood of a car where people are speeding through neighborhoods. Why? Because the sidewalk's blocked. Why? Because code doesn't have enough people. You can't get people if you're not paying, because the market is competitive, and if you're not competitive with it, you're not going to be sustainable. And that's what I'm saying when I said we're sitting on a time bomb. We need good employees, and we need to retain good employees. Right now, what you have in the budget is not going to accomplish that. We're still going to start seeing people leaving, especially if our neighbors, Jefferson Parish, St. Charles Parish, they start giving more money for people. Guess what? Ours is going to go right to them. And we can only blame one thing, ourselves. And again, we haven't made any headway with filling positions with our current pay. So we must be living in a balloon because it ain't going to change unless we change what we're going to pay. And I feel because we, the citizens, are paying the price. Thank you.
Mr. Morella?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 51 years. I'd like to direct this to Liz. What is the operating budget? What was the budget supposed to be as to what the budget is now? In other words, what I'm getting at, do we have a budget deficit in our operating budget? What is it? And I'd like to get a copy of it.
Okay, so the budget this year for general fund, we're at 53.9 million. With that, our expenses do exceed our revenue, so we are going into the fund balance $14 million this year. And I can get you a copy. I don't know if you want to come to my office and get a printout. I don't have an extra copy on me.
Oh, okay. I'll get that. You can get me that copy, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's 59. You said 59.3 million is the operating budget?
53.9.
Okay. And what was we budgeted for? Were we budgeted for that, or are we below that or over that?
Last year's budget was 56.7. We're at about 55.8 is what we're projecting.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Liz. And I'll just wait up here because I'm going to have the same question for the capital budget.
Okay. Please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. Matthew Hotard, 66 Red Oak, 15-year operator for the Kenner Fire Department, as well as the president for the Kenner Firefighters Association. Good afternoon, everybody. I did have a couple of questions about the fire department budget as it pertains to us. First question, well, the first thing I wanted to say is that I wanted to acknowledge the members of the fire department who showed up today, the family members, the children, the friends, the family. It's very encouraging to see this. They're taking time away from their second jobs, which most of us do have and need, as well as we have a third of our department that is actually providing services for the city. So I want to thank them for their time here. Unfortunately, we're in the same spot that we were last year for the most part. When we look at the fire department, if you can believe it, some of us are actually making less. When I ask these questions, I would like to ask the questions because I do only have 3 minutes, if that would be okay, and then have the answers given after as to not eat up my 3 minutes of time. Thank you very much. So the first question I have is when we're looking at the budget, our chief administration spot was taken away last year, and then also a deputy chief spot was put into place. In this budget, we still have a deputy chief spot, but as it sits right now, we have a chief administration temporary spot that is filled. The gentleman is also in the room, so I'd like to know what is going on with that. Are we keeping the deputy chief spot, or are we having a chief administration spot? And if so, if there's dedicated funding for that, why wasn't it in the budget? Also on here, I see that we have 5 district chief spots, and our fire department can answer this. On here, it's 5. We have 6. We've had 6 district chiefs for at least the 15 years that I've been on, with also the proposed budget amount dropping as far as salary goes. So I had a question as to how that would work, because I don't believe that amount covers the salaries for those 6 district chiefs. Also, last year, Councilwoman McKinney was the one who led the speaking and giving us a substantial amount more money for supplies when it comes to the department. We had $96,000 in one supply and also $94 in the other supply, and then we went up to $173,000 in one of the supply line items, and then also to $52,000. And then when I look at this, we were giving back roughly 25% and then 81%. I can tell you this, that in the stations, we there was a lot of things that we asked for. We still don't, as ridiculous as it sounds, because I heard Chief Conley talking about the $20,000 that he's getting for trash bags, we still don't have trash bags for our stations. We still don't have paper and ink for our printers, although we have worked very hard, the administration has worked hard to going paperless, we still use paper. And this may sound ridiculous to you, but we're staffed 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and 6 stations that sometimes have up to 12 people in them, and we still don't have those supplies. There is no excuse for a Class 1 fire department not being able to provide garbage bags and essential things that we need to do our job, and then showing that we're actually giving money back, a substantial amount of money back, or money that we have not spent. Also, I'd like to talk about our uniform. Is that my 3 minutes?
That's 3 minutes.
Okay. Well, I'd like those questions answered, please. Thank you.
Ms. Aaron?
So some things I'll be able to answer, but other things, I guess the chief would need to answer. So
Yes, ma'am.
one thing is when we prepare this budget, it's a snapshot in time. So at the time that I pull positions, it was at that time. So if someone would have retired or left in that time, that would be why the count is off on certain positions.
Okay.
But the funding should be there overall. I know y'all had a bunch of people retire, so obviously they're retiring at a higher rate than those new firemen are coming in. So that would be the difference in salaries without like taking a deep dive into it. As far as the deputy chief spot, as far as I know, the deputy chief is budgeted. That is the plan. So unless something has changed.
Thank you for your answers.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor Glazer?
Me, all right. Last year, I convinced the fire chief to change from the fire chief of administration to a deputy chief of police because I came out of police services, and that's how it was run. It was the deputy fire chief had authority over the whole department. Administration does not have over suppression. After 10 months of fooling with it now and listening to all the assistant chiefs, a couple of other personnel, they said it's better to have a fire chief of administration. So I guess it's my fault that it's still titled as a deputy fire chief when we have someone actually in a provisionary appointment to deputy chief of fire chief of administration. So they convinced me to go back to the way it was when we inherited July 1st. That's on Matt, that was on the deputy fire chief one. I think you had all the other. That's it on fire. Can I address, well, Liz, there's going to be an amendment to this budget because there's 3 departments that pretty much go into our excess funds a lot this year, where you see, you said it's almost, what, $14 million in the fund balance, and you'll see police, fire, and wastewater, or the ones that go into it. They're underfunded with the expenses rising. That's the issue with that, is balancing a budget. And 2, if we have this budget for 3 years, the city will be bankrupt without any changes being made. Absolutely, you have no fund balance left. You have, you'll be struggling to retain people. We would like to be the highest paid fire department, police department, and city administration in the South, but it just doesn't happen that way. It's impossible. Police, they do a good job on staying competitive, but the police pool, applicant pool, is not there. Fire is almost 100%, I guess, full positions in firefighter. I think they have enough, but of course, they don't get paid enough. What people don't know is what we have to deal with in our property insurance that we got just this morning sitting here is going to be, how much is going? It's $1.5 million for $10 million worth of coverage, which is absolutely horrible, but it's the only thing we can get. So they allowing us to go, I'll talk to it about it later when it comes up. Healthcare cost. Our current provider came back this year with a 19% increase over last year. That's a lot of money. What we could do is pass it on to the employee that's not making enough now, or we can absorb it in the city budget. I'm at the point where we're going to take the excess cost and not pass it on to the employee. So these are the things that we do every day to trying to make it better for the employees and the citizens of Kenner and balance a budget. So, look, I'm always, we have an ongoing joke. I like saying yes, and someone 2 chairs to the left of me likes saying no. So it's kind of what, we're trying to get to a point where this budget is fair for everyone, but we're almost at an impasse now with the fire millage is grossly underfunded. Police is fully funded mostly on sales tax that revenue has been down the last couple of months. So that's where we are today. We're trying to balance this budget. And there's a couple other things that cost increase that we kind of taken money from here. I know when we get to an amendment to this budget, it's going to address these shortages in police, fire, and everything else. So that's, like I said, we know the issues. We know we underpay our people, but everything has to do with the personnel benefits or soaring through the roof. So that's kind of the issues we're dealing with today that you really don't see unless you come out here and say, look, we just got a 19% increase in health insurance. So the first thing we said was I was going to put it out for an RFP and get another provider. Well, the best we can do is negotiate it down to 15%. I mean, it saved us some money, but it's still a 15% increase of a lot of money. And we're going to absorb it in the city budget and not pass it on to the employee. If you give somebody a 2% raise and hit them with a 5% raise of their health insurance costs, they're losing 3% of their salaries. It just doesn't make sense. So we're going to take it in-house and work on insurances, maybe get a better start on it. But what I've learned quickly is this medical insurance, they want a full 12 months of experience. And from a fiscal year that runs January 1, it's a little different than them. We got to guess the last 2 months of what it's going to be with our, how much health care is paying for us. I hope that made sense, but that's kind of the way we're dealing with trying to balance this budget.
Thank you, Mayor Glazer. And the only other thing I'd like to add to that is utilities are going through the moon. That's another piece that went up pretty much. And basically the city is running lean, trying to make sure that departments are spending money wisely. And I know our CFO of Finance is monitoring purchase requests and purchase orders to make sure that, if you've got extra money in the budget, that you're not going out and buying $200 screwdrivers just to spend the money. We need to make sure that that's not happening. And Liz is making sure that does not happen. Okay, Chief Morris, did you want?
Yeah, I wanted to answer the questions that the mayor and finance director didn't answer. I think he was talking about trash bags and not having trash bags in the fire station. There's no reason for that. That if they did, it's a system in place for them to order the trash bags or whatever supplies they need instead of just handing them out all over the place, being fiscally responsible. We keep track of them. They keep a order supply in headquarters. When they need them, they come to the station and make the request. When the supplies run low, the chiefs make the order through our records clerk in order to purchase those things. So I think we have several thousand trash bags in headquarters. So if they don't have trash bags, I can't say why they don't have them in the station, because they are in headquarters. And I don't know what your other question was that they didn't answer.
Paper?
Well, everything that we do inside the department is electronic. Every form, every document that we need, that they need in the station under suppression is electronic documents. I mean, if you look at the station supplies from over the last couple of years, it was running about $5,000. I think it's down to about $300 a year now, by switching over to electronic documentation.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, the only thing I want to add to all of this is that the cost to maintain our infrastructure is extremely high. Okay, we deal with sewer problems on a daily basis. We got street issues. We got drainage issues. We have all kind of problems, extremely costly. Okay, we also need to look for matching local money for federal aid projects, which are normally the 20% or 25%. We have taken all of that into account. Sure, we would like to give everybody a 10% raise or a 15% raise, but something would have to give. Do we neglect the infrastructure that is already old, that needs constant maintenance, or do we want to keep, you know, the proper labor force? Is there a balance there? Yes, there's probably a balance there, but let's not forget about our infrastructure.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Councilmember Brennan.
Thank you, Council Chair. To Mayor, thank you for your comments, and Mr. Gonzalez as well. To Mr. Teff's point, I think we all agree with that. We certainly appreciate all the employees we have in the city, but you know, if you look around other jurisdictions, Jefferson Parish talks about their shortage in employees. Obviously, New Orleans, the New Orleans Police Department, it's rampant. I've got a friend that owns 39 franchise restaurants throughout South Louisiana and up in the Chicago area and St. Louis. And I was actually at his house last night, and all he keeps talking about is not being able to maintain employees because nobody wants to work. And it's just it's a sticky situation. It's a bad situation everywhere. To the insurance and what the mayor said about the cost of property insurance, we're getting $10 million worth of insurance for $1.5 million, and there are no companies that want to even write it. There are no companies that would even quote it. And the mayor's talking about starting the process sooner. I'm in the insurance business and have nothing to do with this policy, for the record. And there are companies that will not quote anything, especially commercially and on property, more than 30 days in advance, because the market is changing, the companies are changing, reinsurance guidelines, and nobody wants to give you a number more than 30 days in advance because they tell you that the rate's not going to, there's a good possibility that that rate is going to change. So there are a lot of factors, and I commend the meetings that we've had to review the budgets, the discussions that the administration has had and answered questions. So it's sharpening the pencil. It's just a very, very tough situation at this time. Thank you.
Councilmember McKinney. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead and state your name and address.
Nicholas Zalva, 802 Dante Street. Today I stand before you as the Vice President of the Kenner Firefighter Association, representing the dedicated men and women who selflessly serve as firefighters in your great city. I'm here to advocate for the matter of an utmost urgency, the need to address the embarrassing starting pay for your firefighters. Which is currently set at a mere $8.92 per hour. Let us take a moment to truly comprehend the significance of this figure. Your firefighters, the ones who bravely rush towards danger when others retreat, the ones who protect your lives and property, are starting their careers with a wage that falls short of providing a decent standard of living. This is not only disheartening, but also a matter of deep concern for your entire community. We cannot ignore the fact that such a low starting pay creates severe hardships for your firefighters and their families. It undermines their ability to make ends meet, afford housing, and meet basic necessities. It is a stark reality that should not be associated with the profession that demands such courage and sacrifice. We call upon the council to consider dedicated funding options, such as pursuing a millage increase to address this issue head on. This funding would provide the necessary resources to raise the starting pay of your firefighters to a level that is both respectable and commensurate with the challenges they face daily. We must strive for a compensation structure that provides them with a wage that affords them the opportunity to thrive and support their families. By doing so, we create a positive, sustainable work environment that recruits and retains highly skilled professionals, ensuring the strength and effectiveness of your fire department. Let us remember that investing in your firefighters is investing in the safety and well-being of your entire community. We owe it to them and to yourself to rectify this injustice and ensure fair compensation for the brave men and women who protect you. In addition to a millage increase, we also urge the council to explore alternative sources of funding. This includes exploring additional ballot-voted sources from water and sales revenue, as well as various business impact fees, all of which can be potential avenues that provide a much-needed financial support for your fire department. By diversifying your funding streams, you can create a more sustainable and robust system that secures the future of your firefighters and the safety of your community. I'm asking, will you, the Kenner City Council, and City Administration address the embarrassing starting pay of your firefighters and take a decisive action to rectify this situation by swiftly approving the necessary measures to allow the citizens to vote on a dedicated millage increase for the Kenner Fire Department on our next governor's election ballot? That was a question.
Well, I'll answer. And I do know that the fire administration started working on getting information together to address that. So I don't know, they'll present it to me next week, and then we'll present it to the council. Okay?
Hope so.
Yeah.
Hello. First off, I want to say thank you and compliment Mayor Glazer's entire team with the budget, because this year, unlike previous years with different administration, different mayor, we got the budget on May 1st like we were supposed to. And in fact, the citizens, the public, was given access to the budget on May 1st. And that was wonderful. So thank you to the clerk's office for disseminating that. That was fantastic to have just such an easy process. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the budget hearings, but I do have a couple of things to say about the budget. Number one, I agree with all of the firemen that their pay is abysmal, and I hope that we can try to figure out some kind of way to raise that pay, in the future. But that is definitely a priority. So we need to take care of our heroes. The second thing is I want to talk about the FEMA money. How much of that are we expecting to get? Will that affect the budget at all? So I just have a question about that. But the main thing I want to talk about is, are we getting what we're supposed to be getting from the parish? Blake Patterson just had an article that I read that said that Jefferson Parish the council just got $84 million from the American Rescue Plan. They're dividing that between each of the 5 council members. They're each getting $12.4 million to do whatever they want with. Each at-large got $1 million. In the article, it talked about different things that different people are planning, and the only thing I read out of all these, the $84 million for Kenner, is we're going to get a $2.2 or something million upgrade to Musbertolino. Like, did you guys have input on that? Like, is that how we're thinking? Because that's our money too. Maybe if the parish would help a little bit, we wouldn't be in this predicament. Like, $84 million, and we're getting Musbertolino, which just got a brand new track and has all this FEMA money coming. Like, I would like to know. I'd like to have some accountability of where our money from the parish is being spent. I know I could go to the parish meetings and all that and ask these questions. I know that, but I would like to invite, and I'm not sure about Mr. Byron Lee's plans, because that wasn't really in the article that I saw. But I would like for y'all to maybe invite them, and not just to come and tell us, but to be open to some questions. Let's find out where all that money is being spent. And I'm not trying to pick on Mr. Imposado, but that's the only one I zeroed in on, because I'm in North Kenner and he represents almost all of Kenner. North of I-10, he represents all of that. He went in, when he got elected in 2020, he went into having, how much did he have? I'm sorry. He had $14.2 million already in that account, and now he's getting another $12.4. So we're at $26 million, and I'd like to know, where is all that money, and do you guys have any input with that? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let me cover FEMA, I guess, first. So insurance claims are still ongoing. We don't know where we're gonna sit for insurance for Ida. So I kind of need that piece to know how much FEMA is gonna give you, because FEMA reduces what they pay out based on what you have received from your insurance. We are actively working our FEMA claims. It's just a lot of moving pieces. FEMA has ramped up site inspections, so in the next few months, the remaining sites that haven't been visited yet will be visited. We are moving closer to getting an answer with buildings A and B. That's our primary focus right now. And then it doesn't affect your operating budget. Disaster funds are in a separate fund. And the only thing that would affect the budget is our match. And at this point, the state does have a program that it's a separate grant program. You apply, and they would cover your match for your PA side of grants. So that's what our goal is. That's what we're applying to. And then the city did receive their own share of ARPA funding. It was about $14 million a couple years ago, and that was spent to offset our loss in revenues. So there were various categories you can use that money for. And at the time, with sales tax dropping and our budget relying so heavily on sales tax, we took that $14 million to offset the loss in revenue. And the mayor can talk about Jefferson Parish's side.
Okay, yes. The parish councilmen, they get the money and they pretty much spend it the way they like. You know, they do call us and ask what projects we need and have. We told them, and they fund the ones they want. And Mus Bertolino redevelopment was one that he wanted to put $2 million, and we putting 200,000. We have some money going in. We met with Councilman Byron Lee week before last with half a dozen projects here in his district that directly benefit the citizens of Kenner. It's pretty much set of Kenner projects that we want him to fund. To put it in a blunt term, is I felt sorry for him because when one of the staff stopped talking, the other one jumped on him with another project. So we kind of trying to get as much money as we can from them. Look, they've been cooperative with giving us the money. You know, drainage, canals. Dominic is building a large pump station at Joe Yenny and Platt in a design phase to move water, not to Lake Pontchartrain, but to the Parish Line Canal. So, I mean, we are getting some, large projects from them, but we can't use that money for our operating budget is the issues with it. It's pretty much capital upgrades and advancement that we can use that money for with some of the projects we tell them we need. And Go Mesa money. I mean, we got Go Mesa money to do the boat launch. That's pretty much almost all funded by parish Go Mesa money. We had to put a local match in because they ran short of what the bid came back in, and we put in, I think it's less than $300,000 of local money into that Lake Town boat launch renovation. I hope that answered all the questions you had.
Councilmember Dunn.
Yeah, to Mr. Taft, yeah, we did address, when I first went into office, I don't know if the mayor remembered that I had a conversation with him, about the pay of the workers in Kenner. So I feel that, that's gonna come back up again, perhaps in the next budget. As far as Miss Alexandra, that I know of, yeah, my district with Mr. Lee had $31,000 for here. So I don't know what he's gonna put in this district, but I know according to the paper, it was 31,000. The other ones may have gotten 12, but he got 31,000. So I need to clarify that.
Councilmember McKinney.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to say thank you for everyone who came and spoke about their concerns, and I want to thank the fire department workers who came, everyone here today. I think your time is valuable, and I appreciate it, and I know that you feel passionately about, about the things that you spoke about, and of course, we as the council are very receptive to that, and we want to make sure that what's in the budget and what is being planned is actually being moved in and acted upon. Last year I did increase, and I recommended to the supplies for the fire department, and I don't see it in the actual adopted budget numbers, but and maybe it's on another page that I'm looking at, but just the supplies issue, I don't know, the full story, but I think that it's, there should not be any city employee that is paying for their own paper or their own trash bags or any of that. I wouldn't expect Mayor Glazer to bring his own trash bag, and I wouldn't expect anyone else to do that. So if there's a disconnect there, we just need to make sure that paper is being supplied. All of those supplies are being taken care of. So please make sure that that's taken care of, because I'm happy to buy my own paper, but I don't think anyone else should have to buy their paper or their trash bags or any of those things. I wouldn't expect anyone to do that. Or pens or anything like that. So, as legislators, we have to make tough decisions every day. To everyone's point, it would be, if we would love to be able to give raises, $5,000 raises to everybody and to retain them, because it is as Councilman Brennan brought up, there are a lot of disconnects, people wanting to work, but there's also rising costs. As every one of you know, that costs are up and salaries are down, right? Inflation is happening, and so we have to make hard decisions. The budget, as it is, as of right now, is we're trying to focus on. The budget is equivalent to you on your everyday, basically borrowing, to pay for your operating expenses every day, right? So you have your savings of $100,000, and you spend $5,000 a month, and these numbers are not going to make sense, but anyway, but you spend $5,000 every month, you take in $4,000, and you have to borrow $100,000 or you have to borrow $1,000 every month to support your expenses, right? Eventually, you're going to run out of money to cover that in your savings, right? So the bottom line is that we're going to need to find revenues somewhere, more dedicated revenues to fire department, more dedicated revenues to police department. And as taxpayers, if you want to see increases in the city pay, you're going to have to, we're going to take money out of your pocket to pay those other employees, because that's how we get funding, right? So if you want to pay higher taxes in for your property, if you want to pay higher sales tax, then we can gladly increase to any amount the amounts that we pay our city employees. City employees also get other benefits. They have the older employees, they get good pensions. They also get, hopefully they get good supplies. So we have to make those tough decisions, and as Mayor Glazer said, there's a lot of things that we need to cover. I'm not talking about the capital budget now, but we have very limited capital spending, and those are the things that are really going to affect our citizens. We don't want to become a city that doesn't cover our infrastructure, and our infrastructure costs a lot of money. Streets and wastewater, all of those things, those cost money. And lots of money. It's not like, oh, well, let's increase that drain outside is $10. No, if there's a drain issue, it's or it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix that. So you know, this budget, I am very happy with this budget. I think it does give increases, not enough to make it, you know, everyone happy, but we need to find a way to increase our revenues, but without having huge impacts on the citizenry of Kenner, right? So we could, if we got more taxpayers, that would be great, but then you complain about traffic, right? I mean, there's a takeaway. So just know that the administration, the council, we've gone through, we've looked at all these things, and and as well as, we're all taxpayers ourselves, right? So we want to do the best for the citizens of Kenner. We want to do the best for all the workers of Kenner. And this is a very respectable budget, and we're going to have to make, in the coming years, we're going to have to make some tough decisions. But we want to work with all of you to do that and realize that everyone here is a stakeholder. So thank you for your time. I don't want to take any more of your time, but this is, you know, one of our main fiscal responsibilities, and I think working with the administration, they did a good job. So thank you.
Chief Conley.
Yeah, I just wanted to get back that we do get support from Councilman Impastato and the parish. I know he's been instrumental in me with the crime cameras and some of the capital needs that I have, but the mayor, myself, and the council have also sat down with our state officials, Representative Villio, Senator Talbot. You know, they're just a phone call away, and they have also subsidized some of our budget with some very important needs. So, you know, we do use our local officials. We rely on them, and they are very receptive. But, you know, like the councilwoman said, that's good for capital projects and for infrastructure projects, but you can't use non-reoccurring funds to cover reoccurring costs. But, you know, we do have a great relationship with our parish councilman as well as our state delegation. So that's all.
Thank you, Chief. Councilman Wilmot.
Mr. Chairman, if I could recommend we close our public hearing and then move on to council members and everybody else that wants to speak about the budget.
Okay.
Let's close your hearing.
All right, so I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Brannigan to close the public hearing. All council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
Motion passes 7-0 to close your hearing. I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan for approval. Now we can move on.
Councilmember Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say that a lot of times budgets, but whether it's the city, the state, parish, whatever, it's cyclic. It's going to come around, and you're going to have times it's going to have it's going to be very lean, and other times you're going to prosper better. This is one of those lean times, and I really admire the mayor and his staff and Mr. Gonzalez and Ms. Herring and the council for going through this budget. It's not easy when you have lean times like this, and it's been taking the bull by the horns, if you will, and the belt is being tightened, and it's what needs to be done. So again, just be reminded these are lean times for the city. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, we received a request to amend the budget. Mr. Jose, do you want to speak first, or you want me to go ahead? If I could introduce this amendment, it's just doing a little house cleaning as per the finance director. If I could introduce this amendment and read it into the record. On pages 38 and 39, the Council District 3 office supplies account, there's an increase of $1,170 due to a typographical error. Page 41, Council District 4, the proposed budget 2023-2024 was reformatted. No change to the proposed budget amounts. Page 57 and 59, Kenner Communications, Web Content Manager position is added for an increase of $72,093 to salaries and benefits. Page 71, the Planning Department, Historical Information was updated. Assistant Director amended the budget to changed to $82,000, no change to the proposed budget amounts. Page 85 is Clerk of Court, Historical Information updated, Office Manager amended budget changed to $42,878. There's no change to the proposed budget amounts. Page 90, The Police Department Administrative Services, account number 001-2100-5802, $18,000 was corrected to $1,000. Account number 001-2100-5805, $1,000 was corrected to $18,000. No change of zero, net change of zero to proposed budget totals. Page 107 to 109, Public Works Field Services Administration, formatting updated, no change to proposed budget amounts. Page 118, Fleet Management, Historical Information updated, Director and Program Coordinator 3, amended budget changed to actuals, no change to the proposed budget amounts. Page 143, Insurance, formatting updated, no change to proposed budget amounts. Page 191, Council on Aging, formatting was updated, no change to the proposed budget amounts. Page 201 to 210, the Pontchartrain Center, service charges, proposed budget was increased by $559 and $800. Hotel motel taxes increased by $300. Capital outlay increased by $329,600. Net loss reduced by $233,290. That would be the proposed amendment.
So we're voting on the amendment now?
Yes, if I could get a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan on the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment?
Councilmember Wilmot?
Thank you. I just want to make comment that I like this process and the procedure that is taking place, and it is in fact coming in as amendment. I don't know in the past if that's the way it worked. So it's transparent, and it's the best thing to handle it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, so we now vote on the amendment. Who was the motion in this?
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan on the amendment. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion passes 7-0. Back to your original motion as amended. Motion by McKinney, seconded by Brannigan on your original motion.
All council members in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 8B is a public hearing and final passage regarding summary ordinance number 13,243. An ordinance adopting the capital budget for the city of Kenner for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember McKinney to open the public hearing. Council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
Mr. Morella?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 51 years. Address this to you again, Liz. What is the capital budget?
The total capital budget is $5,158,598.
Okay. That'll be included in the total budget. That copy you're gonna get from
Sure,
me?
I will.
Okay. Now, are we over budgeted or under budgeted with the capital budget?
So the way capital works, general fund subsidizes whatever is needed. So you have dedicated revenue that goes to capital, and then the general fund would cover the difference. So we're getting $3.2 million from the general fund in order to fund the entire capital budget. Majority of that is for public work matches, and if Mr. Gonzalez has anything to say, but we have various projects ongoing in the city and things that he's trying to push forward that had matches that did not have dedicated funding set up, so that this will create that funding.
Thank you, Liz. Anybody got any comments, any questions?
And all I want to say is that we do have a number of projects that will require matches for federal funds or state funds. All state capital outlay projects require a 25% match. As a matter of fact, at the next council meeting, we're going to have 3 roadway resurfacing projects that are going to be financed construction-wise with 80% federal funds. And that's going to be at the next council meeting that is going to authorize the mayor to sign off on a city-state agreement to proceed with those projects. We do well. As a matter of fact, we do well you know, in applying and competing for state capital outlay money, statewide flood control money, RPC money, and other monies that, federal money that may be available out there for sewer-related improvements. Unfortunately, most of them require either 20% local match or a 25% local match. And that's the only way we're gonna generate improvements throughout the city. Applying, but there's a price you pay, and that price you pay is the local match.
I got any time left for Councilman Brannigan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just like to direct this to Jose Gonzalez. We spoke prior to the meeting, since he's talking about projects now, so we're on point with this. But I'd like him, when he gets a chance, either during the meeting or after the meeting, he told me he would read into the record the projects covering the 2030 plan and what's been spent so far and what's left of the $37 million. That's all I have. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Al, the information that you're looking for, it took me a while to put it down together, but it's in one sheet. I can read it to you at the proper time now, or next time I see you at Sam's or Walmart, I'll go over it. If you do want a copy of this single sheet, you're gonna have to file a public records request, and I'll simply hand it over to you.
I'm gonna do that, Jose, but I also would like the people of Kenner to hear it on the record when you get a chance at your convenience. I would like it read into the record.
Do it
Thank
at
you.
the end, I guess.
What's that?
We'll do it at the end.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Anyone else? Councilmember McKinney? Okay. Ms. Alessandro?
Hi. So I just have a question for Liz. That money that we took from the the operating budget to fill the hole in the capital budget, that's what you just said, is that right? Do I have that right?
Yeah, so what happens is treasure chest revenue is dedicated to capital, basically. So it's split up. Whatever we receive from the treasure chest, the police get 24% of it, and then that portion is split. 50% goes to the capital budget, 25 is debt, and the remaining 25 gets split across the council, which a change just happened for that. So with that, last year we gave the capital budget, we had budgeted 2.1 million, and like I said, this year we're looking at 3.2 million. With that being said, treasure chest is down, so we think it's primarily just because of the construction going on, less people are going, but we hope, and I would, if I had to bet today, I would, that next year we would see a much larger increase. So the new facility comes up, more people will attend, their revenues will climb, and then we get a portion of their revenues, and we get a passenger fee. So that's kind of where we're at. We had to budget the matches. We're receiving funds from other agencies, and we're required to have the match. So this is just a bare minimum of a capital budget, but in the future, I would think it would increase. As treasure chest increase, general fund would have to give less money.
Okay, so if the general fund didn't have to give that $3.whatever million this year to the capital fund, and we had that money in the budget, maybe we could have afforded to give raises
Correct.
to the employees. So my question would be then, and Ms. D, I did look in that article, this is just last month, every one of those just got $12.4 million each. So you might want to make a phone call to Mr. Lee. Could we not try to reach out? And I understand that, Councilman Impastato does a lot for Kenner. I was not trying to imply that he doesn't. I'm just saying there's $25 million there. I would like to know, how it's being spent. Could we not reach out to him and ask him? I mean, like I said, I'm only paying, and Byron Lee is all of South Kenner. Could we not reach out to him too? I think my time got eaten up by the question. Could we not reach out to Mr. Lee and Mr. Impastato and ask them, combined, they just got $25 million last month to spend however they want. Could we not reach out to them and ask for a little help, and then maybe we could give raises? Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I got a motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember McKinney to close the public hearing. Council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
Councilmember, I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember McKinney to approve. Councilmember McKinney?
Yes. Yes, thank you, Council President. So, as I spoke earlier about the capital budget and versus, operating budget, I think that it's really important to realize that this is a bare bones capital budget, that we should be spending much, much more on capital with regard to maintenance. A lot of these are all per ordinance, and, getting capital authorizations, doing things that we should be doing, replacing fire, the new fire apparatuses, doing matches are in there, 1.2 million, and of course, the councilmatic funding. I think it's, if we could double the amount in our capital, that would be great, because we need to be doing that. I do want to clarify that, the type of stuff that we include in our capital budget and these maintenance projects aren't necessarily the type of things that parish council would give us money for this. A lot of it's street maintenance, not street maintenance, but larger street projects, and things that we could potentially get grants for as well. So I do, and I applaud the police department for going to get state funding to cover some of these capital costs, and also building in capital into the budget this year. So I think that's good, because we always need to be thinking long-term. These are non-recurring expenses, but there's always going to be something that breaks or that has to be replaced. And we also don't want to have to foot the bill any one particular year for these things. So if we spread it out, we're actually going to be more successful with regard to that. I do have a point that I want to ask about with regard to the councilmatic funding, how it is split out currently. Is there amendment with regard to that?
Yeah, I have to wait for that to lay over, and then I was gonna amend after. So it's just because of like a timing delay from when y'all change the funding formula. We would amend the capital budget upcoming once this is adopted and laid over.
Okay, so that, and now we just approved that last meeting, so
Correct.
the layover hasn't been, okay. Hasn't been approved that yet. Okay, great. I mean, like I said, I think that, you did a really good job this year, but, getting funding sources, making sure that we're diligent. This is the kind of stuff that we can go to state and Jefferson and, parish to get our larger projects funded, but they're not always gonna, make it a top priority. So, thank you for all the work that you guys did on this, and with regard to departments, keep harassing the administration, because we want to make sure that you guys have priority on this, and we're building up in the future to equip the city and the citizens with the best infrastructure, because we don't want to end up with poor infrastructure and people don't want to live here. So thank you.
Anyone else? Councilmember Shawworth?
Thank you, sir. As far as the fire department goes, y'all know my heart's with y'all, my brothers and sisters, and there's not a job out there that I haven't done on the fire department. Talked with the new, I don't know, captain chief. Was that kind of, the captain chief? How does that work? But anyway, I totally agree. We worked out some things, and I totally agree with the fire department budget, 100%, except for the fact that we don't have enough money to give the firefighters more. Matt, we're just going to have to work. Nick, we're going to have to work and hit the public. Looking at the numbers, we'll have to almost double the fire millage in order to give y'all what you need, what y'all deserve. I totally agree, and that's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard sell to the public, knowing that you're going to double your taxes and receive the same services. We're going to have to do something, but that's going to be a big PR thing. Guys, Matt, Nick, and the rest of the firefighters out there, we all know when you went to the fire chief or the assistant chief, whoever you did, to interview for your job, you came to this job knowing that the pay was horrible. I know the same thing I did when I sat there in Chief Mumphrey's office and he told me how much I was going to make. The money was going to be horrible. You also know when you took the firefighter's position, it meant that you was going to be fighting fires, not just cutting grass or anything else. So what we have to do is do a PR on this. I love you all to death, and I'm support y'all 100%. But a firefighter's job is to fight fire. That's it. It's dangerous, but you signed up for that job. You signed up, and the pay was horrible. You still signed up. We need more men to stand up and take on those positions. I give you wholeheartedly thank you for doing your job, for what you do, for the horrible pay and hazardous pay. But remember, you signed up for this job. So with that said, Council President, I support the firefighters 100%.
Thank you. Anyone else? Council members in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Mr. Chairman, that was to close your hearing? That was to close your hearing. Motion passes 7-0. Your next motion would be Councilmember Brennan, seconded by McKinney, to approve.
Council members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 8C is a public hearing and final passage regarding summary ordinance number 13,250, an ordinance amending Chapter 2 Administration to add Article 7, Requirements for HUD, Section 3, Covered Projects to Kenner Code of Ordinances.
I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember Lahat to open the public hearing. Council members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
Is there anyone wishing to address us?
Tamithia Shaw for Office of Federal Program Compliance, just to give some clarification as to why we're doing this at this time. The city is a CDBG entitlement city, and I think at the budget hearing you asked what the compliance department does. This is one of the things, making sure that we're complying with all of the rules. One of the rules is Section 3. It was adopted by HUD. HUD realizes that they're spending millions of dollars and investing dollars to fill in the gaps in that lower to moderate income area. So what they have done also is say, since we invested dollars in infrastructure, we want to make sure that we have businesses who are hiring people who are lower moderate income to bring them up and give them living wage jobs. So we did this in the parish and also passed some state legislation allowing us to do this with procurement purposes. So the city of Kenner is now making sure that we're compliant with this HUD requirement. And after we do this, we can look at next year, maybe doing the state requirement also as it comes to procurement. But this is our first step, making sure that we're in compliant. And like I said, in Section 3, in fulfilling HUD's mission to not only put billions of dollars in infrastructure dollars into different cities like they've done into the city of Kenner, but also to make sure that when they do have these projects, we give first preference to those people who are low to moderate income persons to get jobs. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Mr. Morella?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 51 years. Michelle, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is in conjunction with the projects, rebuilding the Glenwood Apartments and projects with the Housing Authority. I just need you to confirm that for me. I got some more to say on it.
And these are projects that are over $200,000. If you put more than $200,000 worth of HUD funding into a project, you have to at that point file a Section 3.
This is in conjunction with the project.
The housing authority is separate in that they have their own governing authority, you know that, but they are required to abide by HUD rules also.
I just want to say this, make this perfectly clear to the citizens of Kenner, especially the citizens that's going to be affected in your district, Councilwoman Dunn. The Housing Authority, I attend those meetings every month. They have been working with you guys. They have been meeting on a regular basis. And I want the public to know that this has been going on for 3 years. And this project has not even gotten off the ground yet. And why? Not through the fault of the city of Kenner, it's HUD. Every time they overcome one hurdle, HUD throws another one at them. And I made it perfectly clear. It appears to me that HUD don't even want this project to get off the ground. Because I think they got ulterior motives. And they got another plan for this project, other than what's on the board. And like I said, I attend those meetings every month, Councilwoman Dunn. It's a travesty what HUD has done to this agency and suppressing, holding this project down for whatever their reasons may be. And I got a good idea what those reasons are. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember Lahat to close the public hearing. Council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
Motion passes 7-0.
Have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember Lahat to approve. Council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 9 is ordinances for the sale, purchase, transfer, lease, and/or alienation of immovable property. We have none. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. Item 12A is summary ordinance number 13,227, an ordinance repealing resolution number B17293 adopted October 6, 2022, and implementing requirements for the approval of the settlement of lawsuits against the city of Kenner. Mr. Chairman, I've received a request for a one-meeting deferral. I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember McKinney for a one-meeting deferral.
Ms. Alessandro?
I'd like to speak on the deferral.
Are you speaking on the
please.
deferral?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, Councilman, on the deferral. I know you guys are probably going to vote to defer it, so what I have to say right now most likely won't have any bearing on that, but I am opposed to the deferral. I feel like what Councilmember Wilmot proposed, maybe it wasn't, the final version needed to be tweaked, but it was a foundation. It was an attempt to right a wrong. The public does not understand how these lawsuits are settled. What I was talking about earlier, I am not advocating to get rid of executive sessions by any means. You can have as many of those as you want, talk in private as much as you need to. But what I'm saying is, in the end, when a settlement has been reached, at that point, I'm sorry if the other side doesn't like that it's going to be pending council approval. This is a special circumstance. This is not individuals making settlements. This is the government spending the taxpayer dollars. And if the person who we're paying doesn't like the fact that we need to approve that, I'm sorry for them. We do need what councilmen, you guys have deferred this before, I believe. You've had multiple weeks, and I'm very unhappy that y'all couldn't come together and make some kind of uniform, transparent process for the people. I don't want to defer this. I want y'all to work on it, and I want y'all to give us a way that you can settle lawsuits and that we have a clause in the lawsuit that once all is said and done, then public gets to participate. And how do we participate? Simply by knowing the number ahead of time. That is not too much to ask. I know y'all are probably going to vote to defer this, but I would ask you, if you do that, can you please at least pledge to the citizens that y'all are going to come back with something that is a transparent process and that is uniform across the board? You know, I understand y'all had several lawsuits on the agenda today, and they were at different stages of negotiations, and that's why they were done differently. That is fine. I'm not asking to be involved in any of that. I'm asking at the end simply one thing. that we get a say and y'all, on how y'all are gonna vote on whether or not to approve these settlements. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Wilmot?
This upcoming, well, this legislation is legislation that I'm proposing. And I appreciate all the comments Ms. Alessandro just said, and I understand her desires, and I track very similar how she feels. But on this particular legislation, we do have an amendment that I'm proposing, not necessarily right now, but I want my colleagues to be able to have, and the public, to have time to digest it, because it is a change, but it is, I guess, at least something, we're hoping to get something out of this legislation that would be a benefit. So anyway, they have a pending amendment, and I want to make sure everybody has time to study it and understand it more thoroughly. So that's the reason why the deferral, and I'm okay with the one meeting deferral based on that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember Brannigan to defer.
I called McKinney, but
Oh, McKinney, okay. Council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 12B is summary ordinance number 13,251. An ordinance authorizing the City of Kenner to hold a public auction on June 8, 2023 to sell surplus movable property no longer needed for public purpose and setting the terms and disposition of the proceeds from the sale.
Got a motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember Shorwath. Is anyone wishing to speak on this? I have one question. The list of things that are being auctioned, I understand that there are some of the trucks that were purchased. Is that correct? And
Yes, there's a certain number of them, and they're online.
they're online,
You
okay.
can see the photograph, the description of the truck.
So, okay. So,
Serve Corp is the company doing it, SERVCORP. Go to their website, and you can see. And once again, like I mentioned in the beginning, Wednesday, June 7th, the day before the online auction, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. is the on-site inspection at the Public Works Yard.
okay. And do we have, when we do this auction, do we have a minimum on some of these trucks that we would take?
That's
Because
what
I know the prior administration
That's
spent
what I
a
asked,
lot of
yes.
money on them.
I asked, yes, that we do have reserves on them.
Okay. Anybody else? Council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A was taken earlier in the meeting. Item 13B is a resolution authorizing a settlement in the lawsuit entitled Danks versus Philip Grayson et al., case number 2:21-CV-1806. Mr. Chairman, I've received a request for a one-meeting deferral on this item.
Okay, we have a, on the deferral. Go ahead.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Lahat on deferral.
Council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 13C was taken earlier. Item 13D is a resolution selecting the New Orleans Advocate as the official journal for the City of Kenner for the fiscal year 2023-2024.
We have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember McKinney. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 13,228, an ordinance approving an agreement with Crossroads Centers Transportation LLC for wastewater sludge hauling and sludge trailer maintenance and repairs, and an amount not to exceed $150,000.
We We have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember Dunn. Anyone wishing to speak on this?
Yes.
Councilmember Lahat?
All right, it's going to take a little while. I did a deep dive on this one. I'm voting no. Let me explain why. This contract genesis occurred in a prior administration back on June 15, 2022, when a last-minute contract went before our sewer director, who refused to sign it. The prior deputy CAO signed it. Since then, we came in, current administration then terminated the involvement of the company, which was fine. It was based on, I think there was an article about it, about a minimum requirement of a sludge contract, hauling sludge cakes from the sewer place to where they needed to go. Then the administration, we were trying to find a new sludge cake person, and that we were stuck using the same vendor, which was fine because we needed to haul the sludge cakes. The problem with the principal contract, which was back in June 2022, was that it was at a minimum of 10 loads per week, when sometimes we only hauled 3 loads, or 2 loads, or 4 loads, which I find was improper. I think the current administration did a good job in terminating that type of contract earlier this year. Since then, we were stuck with the use of the vendor described in 15A. Since then, we then became aware that a former member of the administration, then worked for the vendor referenced in 15A, which called for an ethics type request opinion to determine what we had to do. As we sit here today, I have not had any response as to when that's going to come back. I think it's really improvident of us to vote on this right now until we have that opinion back from the ethics board. The counter argument is, of course, we owe for the money for services rendered. I'm not going to dispute that, but I don't think we should be voting on this right now. I've deferred this a number of times. I know everybody wants for this to come to a head today, but I'm uncomfortable with it, and I just don't think we should pay this right now. And it was just a cascading effect from the June 15, 2022 contract that was refused to be signed by Ms. Masonry. And I'm voting no. I think it's good government to vote no right now. I don't want to put us in a legal issue about not paying for services, but I cannot in good conscience vote on a yes right now based on what I've looked at, and then there were public record requests sent to us on this issue, which were sent back to Fox 8. I've tried looking at all those. It's complicated, and I think something like this, I'm not going to say we're not going to eventually pay this for the work performed, but I think it should be deferred down the road. And if the vendor has a problem with that, maybe they do. Sitting here right now, I just don't feel comfortable voting yes for it. I think we need to vote no. I would entertain a motion from the floor to defer to a date certain, which I think we can do. I don't know procedure I can do that right now, since we're already talking about whether to vote yes or no. I would entertain to do that if another councilman would do that with me. Otherwise, I am voting no.
As the council clerk, you're only allowed to defer for 2 meetings. That's it. Only 2 meetings.
Well, then I'm on the floor motioning to defer 2 meetings. I'll request someone to support that with me. I don't need a second on that? Deferral, 2-meeting deferral? You can second it?
I have a motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Sharwood on a 2-meeting deferral. Any discussion on your 2-meeting deferral at this time? Seeing none, council members, please vote on a 2-meeting deferral. If you could, please. All of the council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. All council members opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
If I could do clarification, I need to do a roll call, please. Councilmember Dunn.
Nay.
Sharwood.
Yeah, to defer, yes.
To defer.
McKinney.
Nay.
Brannigan.
Nay.
Wilmot.
Nay.
Lahat.
Yes, to defer.
Brennan.
No.
Motion fails. 2-5, council members Dunn, McKinney, Brannigan, Wilmot, and Brennan are opposed. Back to your original motion.
Anyone else want to speak? My concern with the reason I voted no on a deferral, and I'm voting yes on this piece of legislation, is because I do not want to have another lawsuit opened up against the city of Kenner. And that's the bottom line. I understand completely what Councilmember Lahat has found, but to get an ethics opinion, it takes months and months and months. And I think that will cause a problem. Anyone else? Councilmember McKinney?
Yeah, I just want to comment and say, you know, I'm not against, wasn't in favor of the deferral, but I'm for moving forward this, because this is something that we need. It's already something that we have to pay, we owe. It's not going to change, you know, if we get an ethics opinion saying, you know, X, Y, Z, it's not going to change the fact that we owe this money. So I'm in favor of moving forward this so we can, you know, move forward with however we and the administration feel that is the right direction to go. So thanks.
We'll talk again when everybody's done.
Councilmember Wilmot?
Yeah, and I agree with my two council persons that just spoke, and I think it's something we do need to move on, and we've already deferred this matter a couple times, and it's time, from what I recall, it's been deferred. So we need to move on it and get it taken care of. Thank you.
I've received a request to amend this item. Would you like to entertain the amendment at this time? Maybe would answer some questions that you might have. The legal department is switching out the agreement. The new agreement would be, the effective date would read, upon execution, this agreement will be effective as of February 1st, 2023, and will terminate at midnight on May 31st, 2023.
We discussed that amendment.
I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember McKinney on the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment?
Councilmember Lahat?
Yes, the amendment was actually something I was working on with legal, and they did a good job. It terminates this contract next week, and I do understand we have a new sludge hauler. We're being retained, and Amy's been working hard on that too. So the amendment was actually a good amendment to it. So if it passes, it's a good amendment. But I'll discuss the responses to after we get over the amendment. I'll go back.
Okay. In the amendment that is being put forth, does it change the guarantee of 10 to whatever the numbers are, or?
That contract is per load. There is no guaranteed minimum. It's what you haul is what you're getting paid for.
Okay, thank you.
Hey.
Okay, so anyone else on the amendment? Council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
Motion passes 7-0 on your amendment. Back to your original motion as amended.
Councilman Lahat?
Yeah, so what Christie said, Tom said, they're not wrong. There is a potential, if we don't vote on it, there could be a legal liability. So it's a case where there's a lot of thought have gone into it. I've spent a massive amount of time thinking about this the last couple of weeks. But I think my position to not approve it right now is provident for the city based on everything that's occurred in our past. And I would rather have that ethic opinion back. I do that when I practice law, but we get the ethic opinion a lot quicker in that when we have an issue, we have to investigate and evaluate. But they're not necessarily wrong in proceeding, but in my view, in the best interest of the city is to say no.
Anyone else? Mayor Glazer?
Well, as you know, as has been stated, my office is the one that canceled the contract, went out for another RFP. I do agree with you, but I don't want to end up like we just came out of an executive session with, we just stopped paying bills. I know there's some contractual stuff that cause you concern with, getting paid for work not performed and things like that. But this is just to pay outstanding invoices. That's pretty much what this legislation's for. I agree with your thinking, and I agree with the rest of the council's thinking of they want to pay the bill and move on. You want to wait for an ethics opinion. But I don't think the ethics opinion is going to change our responsibility to pay this bill. We're still going to get the opinion, and we can bring it up later. and address, any of the other contracts. But, I mean, I think we have to pay for the service that was provided, and that's it, even though I agree with you.
Thank you, Mayor Glazer. And a key piece to this is that instead of paying for 10 pickups and having 3 over the months, that was a terrible contract. And basically, that does not make sense to me. So I'm happy to hear that the administration got that worked out to where we're paying for the services that we're receiving.
It's basic government. Even in the Constitution, you can't give government funds away for doing nothing. So you pay for services rendered. So
Right.
that's how bad the contract was. That's the way. That's my opinion of it. So no, Amy worked hard on it, and that's kind of what we came up with.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilmot?
What is the term or the length of time of the new sludge hauler from when to when?
The new provider term will be for 1 year to see how they perform. And Jose and I discussed probably within 9 months, kind of looking at other specs and seeing if we need to go out again. So it's just, we're going to do a 1 year term as opposed to a 2 year term, just to look at their processes and see that they're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. Mr. Morella?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 51 years. My question on this is, does the trailers belong to the city of Kenner, or do the trailers belong to the vendor? And really, it doesn't matter one way or the other. They're the ones who's getting paid to haul this sludge. We don't know what they doing with this equipment when they're on the road. We can't see what they're doing, whether or not they're abusing this equipment or what they're doing. So I don't think we should have to pay for the maintenance and repair of those trailers when they're under contract to haul this sludge out of here. Now, I think they should have to pay for the maintenance and the repairs of these trailers, whether they belong to the city of Kenner or not. Now, what are we actually paying for hauling this sludge out of the city of Kenner? What is the cost of this contract for the hauling part, separate from the maintenance and repair of those trailers?
The current contract, this one that we're speaking of right now, is at $514 a load. The new contract will be for $480 a load.
Okay, but I still don't agree that we should be paying for the maintenance and the repair of those trailers when they are the ones that's getting paid under contract to haul this sludge out of here. That's my comments. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you, Ms. Vallow. Anybody got any comments, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Morella. Any other comments? Council members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 6-1. Councilmember Lahat is opposed. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 13,244. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Barrier Construction Company, LLC, to supply asphalt materials on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 23-6752 in an amount not to exceed $60,000 annually for the Department of Field Services.
We have a motion by Councilmember Shawworth, second by Councilmember Dunn. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 13,245. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Armstrong's Supply Company Incorporated to supply electrical supplies on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 23-6742 and an amount not to exceed $200,000 annually for the Department of Field Services.
We have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember Shawworth. Anyone wishing to speak on this? Seeing none, council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 13,246. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Automated Control Systems Incorporated to purchase generator load testing supplies in accordance with letter bid number 23-2063 in an amount of $19,872 for the Department of Public Works.
Have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Wilmot. Anyone wishing to speak on this? Seeing none, council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 13,247. An ordinance approving change order number 3, final, to the agreement with Hard Rock Construction LLC dated May 23, 2019, regarding West Esplanade Avenue bridges at Duncan Canal State Project number H.011731.6, Federal Aid Project number H.011731, Kenner Public Works Project number 2014-001A-CIP for a decrease of $113,234 and to accept the completion of the project as constructed for the Department of Public Works.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Wilmot. Ms. Alessandro?
Yes, so does that mean that we are officially done with this project once and for all? This debacle is being put to rest? Thank you.
Missy?
Yeah, it's done. Fantastic. Thank you, Mayor, for whatever you had to do to close this out. And bravo to whoever got us the $113,234 off the contract. Thank you for that. So this is the best news I've heard in many years on this project. So thank you all very much.
Council members in favor? Anyone wishing? Councilmember Shaw?
Now our one-year warranty on the bridge starts as now.
This is the final change order for the project. It's required by the federal government, it's required by the state DOTD. And yes, it's a final change order, and at the same time, we're accepting the project as complete. As far as the warranty, yes, there is 1 year warranty on the project.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15F is summary ordinance number 13,248. An ordinance ratifying the policy and rates for commercial property insurance for the city of Kenner for the policy year June 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2024.
All right, motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember McKinney. Anyone wishing to speak on this item?
Mr. Chairman, we've received a request for an amendment, please. If I
Okay.
could read it into the record, at the request of the legal department, we will be adding section 4, that additional commercial property insurance is needed, and the mayor of the city of Kenner is authorized to purchase additional commercial property insurance that he deems appropriate until June 1st, 2023. And section 5 will read that the mayor shall inform the council of any additional insurance purposes. If I could get a motion and second on the amendment, please?
Motion.
Wait, got a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember McKinney. You wanted to speak on question? Okay. Councilmember Wilmot?
On the amendment itself, I just note that it refers to additional insurance. Is it to also maybe change, or is it strictly just additional insurance?
This is just the additional insurances. So, and we do have someone here to discuss the proposal that you guys are voting on that we do have today. And then she can go into what additional we're proposing. So I don't just rather delay.
No, that's fine. I just wanted clarity on that. Thank you, That's all.
Okay, so we have to get out of the amendment, though.
Yeah, this is the amendment to end it. What it is it gives us the authority to purchase more insurance that we know we need. Because this has to be done before June 1st, or we won't have any property insurance. So it's the, what is it, the 1.5 million we're paying for the $10 million coverage, and then we have another week to go find how much more we think we need.
But I guess what I'm questioning is a month from now, 2 months from now, you find out, say, oh, this premium that we're getting ready to pay, it turns out you find another company while you're looking, and it turns out I know it's not that probable, but if it turns out to be lower, can it be with this
I don't
language?
think so. If,
Yeah,
let-
we're gonna bind this as soon as you guys vote on it,
Yes,
is my
it's
understanding.
gotta be done.
Yeah.
You want it taken care of right away?
There's a better explanation at
Okay.
the podium, if you would want.
Yes.
She can tell you everything you need to know.
Okay, that's all I have, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I understand.
Council Clerk, do we have to vote on the amendment before we hear?
No, this is regarding the amendment, so if you want,
Okay.
you can continue.
Please state your name for us. and
Helena
address.
Shaw with Sigma Consulting Corp., your insurance consultant. Your first question there, with regard to another carrier, possibly in a couple of months quoting a lesser premium, is slim to none. We were lucky to get AmRisc to quote. AmRisc has declined to quote on some of our accounts. They're one of the only players willing to provide wind and hail coverage along with all other perils along the Gulf Coast. We're in a bad situation along the Gulf Coast when it comes to property insurance. And between the carriers who have pulled out, the carriers that have gone bankrupt, we are left with the only remaining carriers willing to quote. And so AmRisc is our best option. And there's not gonna, and as we get into hurricane season, capacity for these insurance companies is gonna continue to be reduced. And so they're gonna have less capacity as we get through the hurricane season. And so the premiums will only go up, not down. Regarding additional limit, we're talking about carriers that would sit over the 10 million that AmRisc is providing, the primary 10 million. And last year, we were able to find a carrier that was willing to quote 40 million, excess of 10 million for all other perils, excluding all wind and hail, including tornado, because nobody wants to touch that. At the end of the day, at the last minute, we were able to get another 5 million coverage to sit over the 10 million primary that gave us for wind only, which gave us a total of 15 million in wind. So at the end of the day last year, we had 15 million in wind and we had 50 million in all other perils. Now, we're seeing a 40% increase in the premium from expiring, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that we had to increase values because they had not been increased in so long, and the carrier would not release a quote until we increase values. So your rate, your premium is based on the rate times the values. So the bulk of the increase we see this year is due to increased values. So that was a good thing, that they did not increase the rates any more than they did this year, because they certainly could have, and they have in prior years done that, and on many other accounts they're increasing rates. So we were pleased to see that they didn't increase rates, and the premium was only 1 million for, I think it's 444, something like that. I expect that the quotes that we will get for excess coverage will probably be close to what they quoted last year, with the increase due to values. I don't think their rates will go up either, based on what AmRisc did, because that's how the excess carriers usually handle it. That's why they won't quote until they get the primary quote, because they want to see what the primary carrier's doing, and then they usually follow their lead. So that's where we are. And USI is currently out in the market with this quote that we just have on the primary 10, trying to secure additional limit for wind and for all other perils.
Yeah.
Councilmember Dunn?
Yeah, I just have one question. As we get into the hurricane season, you know, of course, you all are looking for additional coverage. I mean, like with homeowners, they stop writing. So what's going to happen?
Well, the only time they stop writing is if there's a hurricane in the Gulf.
Right.
They
Okay.
suspend all writing.
Okay.
And so we should have that done. We should have this done,
Done
before
before?
hurricane season
Okay.
starts. And that's the only time that would come into play.
Okay.
Councilmember Lahat?
Hey, thank you, Council President. Thank you for coming here today. I just got this morning. Does the policy cover day claims too, like fires, regular perils
Yes,
besides
that's what
catastrophe?
all other perils is.
Okay,
Fires.
so is that also within the $10 million limit, or is that something else?
No, the 10 million limit with AmRisc covers fire,
So it's everything?
everything, including wind and hail, all wind and hail and tornado, that 10
Okay.
million. And that's why it's so expensive, because it includes wind and hail.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Miss Alessandro?
So can you please tell me, our policies, are they actual cash value or are they replacement costs?
Replacement costs.
Okay. And then are any of our insurance policies that the city has, are any of them with surplus lines, or are they all admitted Louisiana carriers?
Oh, no, you couldn't get commercial property insurance on the Gulf Coast by an admitted carrier. Only surplus lines carriers will quote in this market.
Do you guys know, I'm just gonna ask a question. Do you guys know what surplus carriers mean? I think that's something important for y'all to look at. I understand if there truly is zero other options, if no other companies could write, if there is literally nothing out there, then we have no other option. But if a surplus carrier, correct me if I'm wrong, if they have a catastrophe and they can't handle it, there's no guarantee, there's nothing, the state does not step in and pay those claims if it's a surplus carrier. If it's an admitted carrier, you're gonna get the money. So it is a risk, Neil. I'm not an insurance person, but I am in real estate, so I do know a little bit about insurance. So I don't like the fact at all that we're dealing with surplus lines here. And also, I do question the need for excess insurance. I mean, if we're gonna have that type of catastrophic loss where we're going into excess, then FEMA's gonna step in, aren't they, and pay? So, I don't know. I just have a lot of questions about this insurance, but thank you.
Councilmember Brennan?
Ms. Alessandro, to your point, and as this lady's saying, the admitted market right now, especially along the Gulf Coast, is non-existent. And it's the same in personal home insurance. The surplus carriers are the ones that are writing new business and will include wind and hail. They're setting the rates, and it's that or Citizens on a personal side. As far as the excess coverage, the buildings that the city owns far exceed the value of 10 million. So I think it's our duty to purchase more insurance. And it would be great if we could do it with an admitted carrier. But there are a lot of surplus carriers that write in Louisiana and in other places,
But not here.
and they choose not to be admitted because they don't want to pay a fee for the LIGA association. So there are a lot of companies that are very, very financially sound and very well rated by AM Best and they just choose not to be admitted because there are a lot of pluses on the company side for them to operate as a surplus carrier. And again, one of them is the LIGA fee. The other is that a surplus company, if they decide they want to raise their rates effective July 1st by X amount of percent, they don't have to go before the Department of Insurance. They can just change their rates at will. So just because it's surplus does not necessarily, and I understand your concern, but it does not necessarily just mean that, I don't know when this poll got put here. It just does not mean that, you know, it's a bad thing, and especially when it comes to availability.
Anyone else have any questions? Okay, on the amendment, to amend the deal, council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
7-0 on your amendment.
Back to the legislation, motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember McKinney. Council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15G is summary ordinance number 13,249. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from DPC Enterprises LP for a contract to provide sodium hypochlorite on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 23-6746 and an amount not to exceed $130,410 annually for the Department of Wastewater.
Got a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember Dunn. Anyone wishing to speak on this? Seeing none, council members in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Beacon Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Incorporated to furnish and install a 3-ton air conditioning and heating system at the Hispanic Resource
Council
Center.
Clerk, on the last piece of legislation that we just did, Ronnie was not here to vote. Huh? The last two. Ronnie was not here for the last two pieces of legislation.
Thank you for clarifying that. We will correct it. Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you for pointing it out. I appreciate it. Item 16A is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Beacon Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Incorporated to furnish and install a 3-ton air conditioning and heating system at the Hispanic Resource Center, 4312 Florida Avenue, Kenner, in accordance with letter bid 23-2073 in the amount of $9,200 for the Department of General Services. Item 16B is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Dom Development Corporation to provide carpentry services, labor only for post-hurricane restoration in accordance with seal bid number 23-6760 in an amount not to exceed $200,000 for the Department of General Services. Item 16C is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Gills Carpet Sales Incorporated to furnish and install LVT flooring at the Land Yacht Theater in Rivertown in accordance with letter bid 23-2068 and the amount of $12,768 for the Department of General Services. Item 16, 4 works of art currently on loan from Henry and Pat Shane. Item 16G is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Christmas Village LLC to repair various LED Christmas figures in accordance with seal bid number 23-6758 in the amount of $30,925 for the Department of Public Works. Item 16H is an ordinance approving an agreement with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, DOTD, state project number H.015554, federal aid project number H.015554 regarding Loyola Drive resurfacing from 31st Street to West Loyola Drive, City of Kenner project. Item 16I is an ordinance approving an agreement with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, state project number H.015554 H015561, Federal Aid Project Number H015561, regarding Vintage Drive eastbound resurfacing from Duncan Canal to Powell Boulevard. Item 16J is an ordinance approving an agreement with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, State Project Number H.015562, Federal Aid Project Number H015562, regarding Veterans Memorial Boulevard resurfacing from Williams Boulevard to Roosevelt Boulevard. Item 16K is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Han Enterprises Incorporated to furnish and install backstop padding at Galatas Playground in accordance with letter bid number 23-2070 in the amount of $5,295 for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 16L is an ordinance ratifying the emergency replacement of pump number 2 rotating assembly at Duke and Trinity Lift Station by Delta Process Equipment in the amount of $5,867 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16M is an ordinance ratifying the emergency repair of pump number 2 at West Oglethorpe Lift Station by Fluid Process and Pumps LLC in the amount of $7,330 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16N is an ordinance ratifying the emergency repair of pump number 3 at West Oglethorpe Lift Station by Fluid Process and Pumps LLC in the amount of $15,388 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16O is an ordinance approving an engineering agreement with MSMM Engineering LLC to provide professional engineering services associated with the St. Jude Sewer Lift Station Upgrades Project in an amount not to exceed $68,000 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16P is an ordinance ratifying the emergency repair of pump number 3 at West Stanford Lift Station by Fluid Process and Pumps LLC in the amount of $14,320 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16Q is an ordinance authorizing the filing of a pre-application, full application, and issued debt in the amount of $4 million to the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality for the purpose of placing the City of Kenner on a priority list for funding through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund Loan Program for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16R is an ordinance ratifying the emergency purchase of a 250 HP blower motor for the wastewater treatment plant by Precision PSI LLC in the amount of $22,985 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16S is an ordinance ratifying the emergency repair of pump number 1 at 33rd and Connecticut Lift Station by Precision PSI LLC in the amount of $36,220.22 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16T is an ordinance ratifying the emergency repair of blower number 1, 250 horsepower motor for the wastewater treatment north plant by Precision PSI LLC in the amount of $17,583.70 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16U is an ordinance ratifying the emergency repair of the conveyor system in the belt press building of the wastewater treatment plant by Serpentix Conveyor Corp. in the amount of $10,620 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16V is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Fluid Process and Pumps LLC and to purchase 2 pump motors for sewer lift station at Kenner City Park in accordance with letter bid 23-2069 in the amount of $16,650 for the Department of Public Works. Item 16W is an ordinance approving amendment number 1 to the agreement with Moon's Towing Service Incorporated for hauled waste to increase the agreement amount by $400,000 annually. Item 16X is an ordinance approving the health insurance policy and rates for health insurance coverage for the City of Kenner employees, retirees, dependents for the fiscal year July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana. Item 16Y is an ordinance approving an agreement with Sayers Environmental Services Incorporated to provide post-disaster collection, processing, and disposal services in accordance with RFP number 23-6742. Item 16Z is an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Tetra Tech Incorporated to provide post-disaster debris management and monitoring services in accordance with RFP 23-6743. Item 17 is reports from the council and our special committees. Phew. All right.
Maybe Natalie has something to say, I don't know.
Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and a motion to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Matthew Hotard, 66 Red Oak, President of Kenner Firefighters Association. I'd like to specifically address some of the comments that were made by Councilman Ronnie Sharworth. First off, in speaking on an uphill battle, I'm very fortunate that I have parents that taught me to never run from a fight or from anything that's challenging. So I would like to say that we are looking forward to the challenge, and as I said before, we would really appreciate the opportunity to be part of the solution of this monumental problem. When speaking about taking the job and talking about the pay, I can honestly tell you that I'm going to speak for myself and most police, because I have a lot of police friends, and fire. Taking this career choice, no one ever took these jobs thinking about money, ever. Not that I can tell you, because this is and nothing against other, some careers are. They're very money-oriented. This is definitely not one of them. However, in taking this career, it was never our intention to be so underpaid as well. So when you're saying things like, you took the job knowing the pay was bad, I didn't care about the pay when I took the job, because I cared about the service I was going to provide. Because for me personally, and I know for a lot of the men and women I work with, this is something that they felt they should be doing with their lives. As far as the pay goes, in moving forward, I would hope that everyone who heard what you said, but also understands that, yeah, we do know we're not going to get rich off of this. It's never the intention. But to be able to keep up with the rising costs, as so many of you have spoken about today, in life in general, and being able to provide for our families and for ourselves, and to have a decent living, that is something that we would expect would be on the forefront when making these decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hotard. Nicholas?
Nicholas Zalva, 802 Dante Street. Today I'd like to express my heartfelt appreciation on behalf of the Kenner Firefighter Association for the tremendous support and recognition extended to all parties involved in the success of our recent event, Operation Valor. First and foremost, I want to express our deepest gratitude to each and every firefighter who dedicated their time and effort to make this event a resounding success. Your unwavering dedication to serving the city of Kenner is truly commendable. I would also like to acknowledge the invaluable contributions of our partners, Pressure Wasat and Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 7732. Your collaboration and support were instrumental in the restoration of Veterans Memorial Century of Centuries Park, located in Kenner, as a tribute to our veterans in time for Memorial Day. Once again, thank you to all parties involved for your unwavering support and dedication. It was a tremendous honor for us to have the opportunity to clean and restore the park, preserving its beauty and creating a place of remembrance and pride for our community. We look forward to the continuing our mission of service and making a lasting difference in the city of Kenner. I'd also like to say that it was nice to see you there, Mr. Morello, Councilman Swarth. And to respond to your earlier comments, Ronnie, you're right, the pay is horrible and needs to be addressed. The starting pay in question hasn't been changed since 2006. In 20 years, it has only gone up $1.68. We can't be competitive with other departments or counteract inflation with those numbers. You can be assured the Kenner Firefighter Association will be on the forefront of public relations to push and improve that horrible pay. The time is long overdue. The public will back us for improving firefighters' standard of living and compensation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nick.
Councilmember Sharworth?
Nick, Matt, I'm with you 100%. Pay's got to go up. There's no doubt. You can't go that. I mean, it's a little over $2.22 more than when I got hired in 1983. It's ridiculous. It's got to go up. It's just a matter of we just got to find the funds. We got to find whatever we need to get you that money, to get that pay to go up. We just got to be a genius on this, on how to figure out where the money's going to come from. Citizens, 46% of the fire department budget comes out the general fund. Only 32% comes from taxing. That's 22% that's just out there are the little things that we get. But the bulk of it comes from taxing, from your property taxes. That has come up. I mean, Jefferson Parish pays 17 mills, Kenner pays 7.4. I mean, that's unheard of, you know? We got to do something, and it's not only going to be just for fire, it's going to be everything, because everything has gone up, and we're going to have to try to find the money somewhere to put in this budget. If the citizens Kenner still want services, I'm sorry, you're going to have to pay for it, one way or the other. Doesn't sound like a politician talking. It sounds like somebody's giving it the bone truth. You want it, you're going to have to pay for it, and that includes the fire department and paying them in as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. That's why I spoke earlier about alternative dedicated funding, millages that need to increase, and I hope I have every council person's support.
Mr. Al Morella.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 51 years. I want to respond to Councilman Wilbon, some of his comments in the last meeting, and I'm going to respond this way. I will debate you, your pal Joe Stagney, and Clancy Dubose anytime, anywhere, any place, as long as it's a public place and we're on the record. Now, on a better note, I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation and thanks to Councilman Scarborough, Matt Hotard, and Nicholas Allen for working with me and volunteering their time putting together a team of volunteers Saturday morning to clean our park. This is the Firefighters Association, not the Kenner Fire Department. Okay? Now, putting together a team of volunteers and volunteered their time, cleaned our park, did a magnificent job, an outstanding job. It's beautiful in preparation for our May 25th, 10 a.m. in the morning, Memorial Day services. And I think these guys, their whole organization, Councilman Scarborough, let's give them a big round of applause for a job well done. And I want to say, they made me proud as a veteran and a citizen of Kenner, as well as all the other veterans in this city, as well as all the veterans across the state of Louisiana. An outstanding job. Now, I got an announcement. VFW Post 7732 tomorrow turns 77 years old. And I hope they're around at least another 77 years. Okay? So happy birthday to Kenner Post, VFW Post 7732. Another announcement, on May 26th at 10 a.m., Jefferson Parish is going to have their Memorial Day services at Veterans Highway by the Korean War Memorial, Veterans in Severn. All officials, all residents of the city of Kenner, veterans, non-veterans, you're welcome. You're invited. Come on out. And let's have a big turnout for our ceremony on the 25th at 10 a.m. Anybody got any comments, any questions? And in closing, I want to just reiterate again, I can't thank these guys enough for what they did. That park is very important to me and all our veterans. So once again, fellas, a shout out to you. I can't express it enough for what you guys done and working with me. And once again, one more time, anybody got one time only, anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morella. Mr. Teft?
Greg Tepp, 3720 West Loyola Drive. First of all, I'm going to start off with 3 questions, and then I'm going to make a comment, and then I'll wait for the answer for the 3 questions that I'm about to ask. My first question is going to is, are restaurants and businesses within Kenner allowed outside dining with alcohol sales and consumption without a permit? The second question I have is, during COVID, when I know Kenner relaxed the what businesses had to do and what the residents could do without being penalized, but during the lax enforcement from COVID, while outside dining and public gatherings were allowed, my question is, has that been discontinued? In other words, because COVID is over. So now are we back to where we're supposed to be, which is what is by code and by the ordinances? My third question is, does Kenner allow outside alcohol consumption without a temporary permit? Or during an event? So in other words, if there's an event or if there's a group that's out, can they have outside alcohol consumption without a permit? And that's my three questions. Then my next comment is very simple, that you don't need to raise taxes when it comes to hiring people like for code enforcement and such as that. And I'm going to tell you why. They pay for themselves. Because right now, we're missing it on fines. We're missing it on tickets that some from speeders that are not caught. There's a lot of things where we're missing opportunities where we could earn extra money, which would actually take care of some of these raises and maybe even allow us to hire more people. That's why the fines are there. They're there to keep people from doing the wrong thing, but it also helps the people that are enforcing that. And we're missing it because when you look at all the violations, in fact, I thank my councilman Brennan because in my area, the medium was used as a dumping site. I mean, purely as a dumping site. People just threw the trash, instead of leaving it in front of their house, it went into the medium. And the city went out there and picked it all up. So there was a city expense. But the persons that did it, they say it's okay because they keep doing it. So, and people are going to keep messing up and throwing trash out until they know there's a consequence. Anyway, that is all I have, and if I can get those three questions answered, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Teft. Ms. Topple?
Good afternoon, Catherine Topple, Director of Inspection and Code Enforcement. Trying to remember if I can get these correct. One, if you have a full alcohol license through the state, you can sell outdoors, and that does not require a separate permit.
But don't you have to go to the council to get the
No,
alcohol license?
no. If you have a special event and you don't generally hold an alcohol license, that does require a special permit. And then regarding outdoor seating, COVID, et cetera, a lot of facilities have chosen to continue that, which is permitted provided they still have all the required parking requirements on site. That's always been permitted, it's just whether they chose to do it or not. Yeah, correct. Yes, that's perfectly legal. Yeah, they can't. Some chose to continue it because a lot of people liked it, and others chose not to. But it's a matter of their parking requirements and the extra square footage. But they are allowed to maintain that.
Mr.
Thank you, Ms.
Taft.
Topple.
Mr. Taft, that's my teacher. That's my teacher right there. I got a question, I always go to her.
Ms. Alessandro?
Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to read a couple of things that I just pulled off of the official City of Kenner website. May 3rd, the Law Enforcement Torch Run is the largest year-round grassroots fundraising event benefiting the Special Olympics. Mayor Mike Glazer was there, Billy Nungesser, Keith Conley, Chief of Police, and all the volunteers. That was on May 3rd. That was amazing. May 11th, Mayor Glazer was pleased to call bingo at Divine Mercy Parish Community Center. Every second and fourth Thursday of the month at noon, there are bingo games, followed by free refreshments for seniors. Anyone interested in attending can call 468-5016. May 11th, Billy Nungesser was in town again with another litter enforcement presentation. 3 days ago, Councilman Schwartz, along with the members of the Kenner Fire Department, participated in a litter pickup event at Veterans Park, where that is where our Memorial Day celebration is going to take place. And multiple other fantastic things that have happened in the city of Kenner. My question is how come we're not getting any notice of these things before they happen? I love seeing the pictures of what happened, but my family would have definitely participated in especially the cleanup at Veterans Park had we known that was going to happen, or the torch run. We would have went out there to just support people. I see all these wonderful things happening, but I'm hearing about them after the fact. And Mr. Morella just came up here and told us that, and maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. I'm just going by the City of Kenner's Facebook page, which to me is like the primary way that the citizens learn about things. Mr. Morella talked about our Memorial Day remembrance that will be happening this Thursday in less than a week. I don't see anything on the website. I don't see anything on Facebook about that, but I would really like the citizens to know. I mean, that's like the most sacred and solemn holiday that I think that we have. It's a national holiday. It remembers members of the armed forces who died serving our country. It's not a day to celebrate and have barbecues and a 3-day weekend. If you want to do that, fine, but this is a day of remembrance. And it's held on a Monday. I don't know why we don't just hold it on that day every year, but that's a separate discussion. But anyway, we're having one, and I try to go every year to it. And sadly, I only see like 5 or 6 members of the public. I know you guys usually attend and all the dignitaries and all, but the public, usually maybe 4 or 5 people come from the public. And I just feel like if maybe they knew about it and it was publicized a little bit more, that there would be a lot more support. It's an amazing event. It's very interesting. The speakers that go there and they talk about their service and everything in this great country. It's truly a patriotic event. And I think those guys deserve a lot more support. So I hope that we can maybe promote that a little bit more. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Paris Bennett. I'm the Director of Communications. I just wanted to, and thank you for your comments, Ms. Alessandro. So what you'll find is that we post each event that happens 1 week out. So for the Memorial Day event, it's actually scheduled to go out at 4:30 today. Specifically, the Torch Run event was posted 1 month in advance, and we also sent a 1 week out reminder. If you're having trouble finding any of these events, you can look at the top of your Facebook post, and any upcoming events that are occurring within a week or so are pinned at the top of each post, at the top of each page on both Facebook and Instagram. Thank you.
Chief?
Yeah. Thank you, Councilman. I just wanted to speak about some issues that we have and that's been addressed. We adjusted the statutory promotional rate for our older members on the department. That was potential litigation against the city that we addressed that. But what that did was create a delta between the older members and the newer members. The older member salary is up here and the newer member salary is way down here. So we need to, and firefighters have a number of laws that address our benefits. Now, we need to now adjust the salaries of the newer members. And there's a number somewhere in there that closes that delta between those two groups. And how do we balance that delta, that salary increase, with getting these guys on the regional average of salary? That's my next question. We meet with and compiling data from the departments around the region with all the chiefs. I am confident in saying that these guys are the lowest paid members overall, lowest compensated members in this region. We have apparatus that need updating. We have training that needs to occur. And all these things go hand in hand. It does the community no good if we purchase a new apparatus and we can't put equipment on it. We can get new equipment and new apparatus, but if we don't have the people to put on those equipment and apparatus, We can send out a new apparatus and new equipment and people, but if they don't have the training to respond to the incidents, you know, it's no benefit to anybody. We put everybody at risk if we do that. Let's start at what, you know, our job is to protect the citizens of Kenner and to protect the community. Let's start here at the river and look at what our hazards are. We have the river, first of all, with all the traffic on the rivers. We have the rail line right here with 5 Class 1s bringing billions of dollars of product through Kenner. You've seen recently in the news the number of train derailments that happen. We've just been fortunate not to have a major one here in Kenner. We've had one a couple of months ago. It was insignificant, but we did have a train derailment in Kenner occur. We have the airport, within the international airport right here. If one of those aircraft stop on airline, Williams, or Veterans, that becomes our problem. So we need training in that. We have a mini fuel farm over here with several 100,000 gallons of fuel there that could have those incidents. You've seen them before on the news in Houston and places like that where they have large ones. We have a mini one here that we can have that same incidents. We have the interstate with all the product that travels up and down the interstate. We dredge in the Bonneville Canal with a lot of lake traffic that we'll end up having on the lake with that. We have the assisted living facilities, the nursing homes, elder care facilities, and stuff like that that these guys need training on. We're still having issues with medical response from our supposed partners that do that stuff, and the mayor and the police chief and I are working to address those issues. We have the garden apartment complexes. We have a land-based casino coming on board. We can't continue to band-aid this department. We need the dedicated funding to improve the department in all those areas. My administration and I are currently researching avenues to generate that funding. Hopefully we can have an answer to the mayor next week with this. And part of that is a proposed new millage for the fire service. This is our rating year, and I was truly hoping to have the highest rated department in the state of Louisiana for Kenner Fire Department, which would make us one of the top tier in the nation. But due to the issues that we've having with the Duke Street station, we're gonna be hard pushed to make that happen, and it's gonna be tough. You know, we have to do better, right? We can do better, and I promise you, we will do better. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Richard Brown. Christina Rowing. Christian Rowing. Not here. Okay, Council Clerk. Have a
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Wilmot to adjourn.